I've just returned from yet another amazing Cambodia trip, and I think it's time for me to give back to the travel community. This is a guide to Cambodia, a connection to my favorite people, places, and experiences. I believe we live in a very special time where a person can pack a bag, fly across the world, and be connected with only a few people that will take their adventure from ordinary to extraordinary.
Hello everybody.
Whether you are a backpacker, a car driver, bus taker, or motorcycle rider, this video is for you. We will be looking at 8 cities, multiple national parks. We'll be going from the beaches, the jungles, and of course, the temples of Angkor. So with that, let's get started. Hello and welcome back to another episode of A Cambodia Guide. In this episode, we're going to be leaving the jungles of Osam. And there's Lim there, you can see him cleaning up. He's a little busybody, always moving. This footage is actually taken by Travis Gordon. You may know him as the Road Hermit. But, ooh, that's some magical bike parking right there, by the way. But as I was saying, this footage was taken by Travis Gordon. You may know him as the Road Hermit. If you've seen any GoPro footage in any of the different episodes, it's from Travis. And this right here, also his point and shoot as he walks around and shoots Lim's property. This is Lim's place, and 4 years ago when I met him, it was just that one small little area, but now he's got this whole other area. Down the path straight away, if you keep going down that path, that's the bathrooms. And then here he's got little individual bungalows, and all around he's worked really hard to plant nice trees and different things to really give the property a great feel. All of the stuff that he plants, he doesn't use any chemicals, it's all organic. This is a freeze frame of the bungalows, kind of how the setup goes. You got one on top, one on the bottom, so you get a shaded area. It's very Vietnamese and Cambodian style. But then I think Travis is going to walk back to the reservoir here. So although this looks like a lake, it's actually a reservoir. About 7 or 8 years ago, Cambodia contracted, I should say, China to build a large hydroelectric dam. So all of this water is the reservoir to feed the dam, and that provides power for a good bit of Cambodia actually. But it's funny that it doesn't actually give any power to Lim's place there. So a few places that I wanted to mention that helped us out with our ride. One was Gearbox. So Daval with Gearbox helped us out with both tank bags and the bolt system that you saw there that we use to charge our phones and all that. Having charging on the bike is really important. Also, Green Chili Adventure Gear. So Adam, all the guys at Green Chili hooked us up with some really great straps, and really appreciate that because we didn't lose any luggage, which was great. So this episode is going to be a lot of riding, and leaving the jungle is always one of those things where you don't want to leave on a day after it's been raining for a while. You don't want to leave when it's too late in the day. You don't want to leave too early. There's all these considerations. So I just wanted to kind of have an open discussion about this. And you see the maps there in the corner. Those maps are actually kind of depicting the road to Semlot. And this area right here that I have circled, that area is after Permaui, and that's about a 15 kilometer long section of really deep mud, and this is actually stuff that I collected. This is video in the upper corner there that I collected from the first time that I came to Cambodia, and it's about 15 Ks, but it takes you maybe 3 or 4 hours because it's just so deep and there's so many river crossings, as you see. And if you leave right after it rains, it's just so much worse, and it's just a huge soupy mess. So I wanted to kind of have this going on at the same time that we're leaving Osam. So what you're seeing on the main screen is us just basically leaving Osam, heading towards Permaui, which is the first village that you hit. But on this ride, every time I'm calculating in my mind, okay, am I going to go to Battambang via Semlat, or am I going to go via Persat? And it's really important that you are calculating this as you're leaving the jungle, because you want to make sure that your decision to go to Semlat is a good one. Basically, you could get stuck in the jungle after dark, which is not cool. So this is the backup, which is go to Permaui and then go to the east there to Persat, and from Persat, then you'll head north to Battambang. This is kind of the timeline that I give myself. I try to leave around 8 to 9 o'clock, at the latest 9 o'clock. Travis was having fun playing in the mud here. That was he was laughing quite a bit. He was covered in red mud. That was funny. That was a good one. But basically the way it works is this. So I try to leave between 8 and 9, and if I can make it to Permaui, which is that first village in that upper map, the first village where it kind of makes that right-hand turn, if I can make it to Permaui by 11 o'clock and the conditions are good, then I'll continue on to Semlat and then on to Battambang. So it's 78K to Permaui, and then from Permaui through Semlat to Battambang, you're looking at another 150K. Now that 150K is going to take you the better part of 8 hours if it's been raining. Even if it's dry season and it's been raining for a few days, you're going to have difficulty. So here, what you're seeing right here, this little crossing that we're doing, this is actually in the good conditions. So although it is dry season, it's still just a little bit wet, but these roads are actually in really good condition for this area and this time frame. Now, what you're seeing right here is where a lot of larger vehicles get stuck. When we get to the bottom of this hill and we kind of make the little left-hand turn, you're going to see a stuck vehicle down there, and these really large military-looking vehicles which deliver most of the goods, the products to Osam, they get stuck down here, and they're stuck for days. So when they're stuck, no one's getting by. So you can have 4 or 5 days of just no one driving by. And it's just a really interesting situation. The village is completely cut off, you know. But this calculation that you're doing about, okay, how am I going to get to Battambang? Am I going to Persat, or am I going to Semlat? You really need to be thinking about this all the time. So today, because it was pretty muddy and there was 4 of us, I think we left at a decent time. We left around 8, but actually we just didn't make really good time, and I think it was because we were just enjoying the jungle. We weren't riding fast, we were stopping, we were taking photos. You can see me here. Travis has got me taking some photos of this Jeep here, which is actually the thumbnail for this video. But we just kind of enjoyed it, and you know, we were coming up on the end of the trip. We were past the halfway point, so leaving the jungle, we were like, you know, why race? Because to ride from Osam all the way to Battambang in one day is a legit ride. I mean, when I'm by myself, I can do it in a little under 8 hours, but when you're in a group, I think minimum would be 10 hours. So if you left at 8 o'clock and maybe you got a bite to eat at Permaui and then just kind of forged ahead, you're still looking at 6 o'clock at the earliest that you're going to arrive. And that's right around the time where it's getting dark. So that's kind of the earliest. The more likely scenario is that you arrive like 7 or maybe a little after, and I really don't advise riding after dark. Maybe if you're on the main roads, it would be okay if it's just maybe for an hour or so, but if it's more than that, I think it's better off just to stop. Find a place wherever you're at, because the roads get really unpredictable after dark. And can you imagine doing this after dark? I mean, it's just like, there's no way, you know? And yeah, I actually, when I was doing the pre-ride for this ride, I actually got stuck in this same spot coming the opposite direction from Permaui going into Osam, because it was after dark and I didn't realize how nasty it was, and I got the bike completely stuck and it was super dark out. It was just a mess. So no riding after dark. Alright, and that's one of the main things you're thinking about when you're doing this is, I don't want to be stuck after dark, so what do I do? And I think it's really important to always be thinking about that. Always be thinking about, am I ahead of schedule? Am I behind schedule? Am I, do I need to look for a place to stop maybe early today and then just leave tomorrow, and just instead of one full day, it's 2 half days? Always kind of evaluating that stuff. Make sure that, you end your trip, your adventure, whatever, in one piece, and you don't let things kind of slip out from under you. In these situations, when you're really focused on getting to a destination, especially if you're in a group, it's really easy to just get laser focused on that. And then you have a couple little issues along the way, and then before that turns into a couple more issues, and you're 3 hours behind, but you're just laser focused on making it to this destination, when in fact it might be better just to stop early. So evaluating that and thinking about that kind of stuff early allows you the ability to not feel like you're backed into a corner. So Travis, that guy cracks me up going through that deep puddle. He was having a blast, and on the Sennas, he was laughing his head off. It was really funny. But so yeah, I think overall this portion of the video should really just be dedicated to flexibility, trying to be flexible, remaining flexible. Speaking of flexible, look at Tammy got sideways there on that hill. You can't really tell, but it's a pretty steep hill. So she does a great job recovering here because she can't go forward. It's just too steep. So she uses the bike's weight to come back and kind of jockey the bike around. Doing something like this takes a good bit of experience, I think a lot of beginners would struggle because they're going to want to continue to go forward. But when you have enough experience, you start to realize, use gravity to your advantage, use the terrain to your advantage. Maybe if it's really steep, you just get off the bike, lay it down, slide it around, and pick it up. You can fight the bike and the elements until you're blue in the face. Ooh, speaking of fighting, bam. Now this is how fast things can go sideways. So I wanted to play this a few times. It's funny, there's the mirror that he just picks up there. But this is how fast things can go sideways. He was just riding along, no issue, and then totally sideways and on the ground. That's the jungle. That's what can happen. And it happens that fast. And Travis has an incredible amount of motorcycling experience in all conditions. You don't have to have specific jungle experience to be good at riding in conditions like this. I think just an overall well-rounded motorcyclist, will have varied experience. Mud, roads, snow, even whatever. It's just the more varied experience you can have, the better. Here I am. Whenever we have an issue where somebody goes down, I really want to take some time and just not hop right back on the bike and ride away. I want to take some time just to kind of really evaluate the situation. So here I'm just asking him to go up with the group, and then I was going to walk up, because the biggest thing is injuries. So those that do ride a lot know that when you go down, there's a good chance that you're going to get some kind of injury that you don't see right away. And especially being way out here in the bush, I want to make sure, like, okay, you went down, how are your hands, how are your wrists, how are your knees, how are your ankles? Like, we need to really take a look at this now, because if you do have an injury, I don't want you to hop back on that bike and we get down the road just a little ways and you realize it and you fall again and you have a bigger problem. So I think it's really important to take a little bit of time, just stop, sometimes do something else, because if you do have an injury, you want to make sure that you identify it early. See how he keeps on kind of messing with his wrists there? I think I asked him like 3 or 4 times, I was like, how's your hands? How are your wrists? Because that's really common. People put their hands out to stop themselves. And it takes a long time before you actually get into the habit of balling up your fist, you know, because the fist, if you fall on a fist, it's a lot less likely that you stretch your wrist back, because when your hand is extended, now you've just basically created a lever so that you can bend your wrist and break your wrist. So it takes a while before you really get that down, but Travis was fine. We took it really easy. This is the last bridge before you actually get to Permaui. This is the Persat River that we're going over, actually. So when you get to this bridge, you know that Permaui is just ahead. And I'm always stoked, because in Permaui, that means that I grab a bite to eat, have a coffee, and then head out. That reminds me, I wanted to promote my friend's YouTube channel, actually. A guy that I met when I was in Permaui, actually. And I wanted to show you his video that he just made from an adventure that he had in Cambodia. He does a good job. So this temple is actually in Persat, and if you ever go to Persat, there's no way you can miss it. It's by the river, and there is a massive Buddha. So you can see that Buddha from like 2 miles away. It's huge. It towers over all the trees and everything else. So if you're riding the road by the river, you will see that Buddha in this temple. This is a cool place. I like to come here just because there's usually some cool photos to be had, and yeah, it's just kind of a cool little temple. And the main reason why I wanted to add this clip specifically is because Travis loves to chase chickens, so here he goes, chasing the chicken. This is like the Travis Gordon show. So anyway, like I was saying, I think the main theme of this video, coming out of the jungle, going to Battambang, should all be flexibility. Here we are actually arriving in Battambang. It's a really cool town. I've linked a few things in the description. The hotel I like to stay at, a great coffee and breakfast place that I really enjoy, and just a few other little things. A temple that I really like to go take some photos at, that I'll show you some photos from there. But I think one of the keys to success, to having like a successful adventure, going to a place you have no idea what you're gonna come in contact with, what your environment's gonna be like, what obstacles you're gonna have to overcome. I think it's like really important to remain flexible and to tell yourself that in advance. Like, I'm only gonna ride the motorcycle during the day. I'm only gonna do you know, 8 hours of riding. I'm only going to do this. I'm not going to do these things. I'm not going to ride at night. I'm not going to ride if the conditions are bad. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. When you tell yourself that ahead of time, then when you come to these obstacles and you face them, you stay on the right path. And here's some photos from just around town in Battambang. This is on the way to that temple. I've linked the temple down below. This guy I thought had a very interesting face. Very interesting. And this is the temple with the sitting Buddha here. That's kind of cool. So, alright guys. Well, with that, thanks a lot for watching. Definitely check into the next episode about Siem Reap. It's going to be about the temples, all that other kind of stuff. And ADV on.